Thank you for joining us at Impact Your Business, Impact Your Life. Throughout these videos, we are going to be interviewing successful business owners, real estate professionals, and all around amazing people. We're excited that you are joining us. Please take a look, please like, please subscribe, and we look forward to bringing you some great content.
On today's episode of Impact Your Business, Impact Your Life, we're going to talk about some of the habits that actually help people do that. And why is it that you have to have priority over the areas of your life and living a counterbalance? Today, Josh, let's talk to people about how do we start out by living a counterbalanced life. Can I walk you through an exercise?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So everybody has different ways of doing this. Some people have heard of this as the wheel of life. Some people have heard of this of the 7 circles of priority. Essentially what it is I'm going to give you 7 areas of your life. And I want you to just think about in your head, which score them, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10, I am nailing this area of my life.
Okay.
Or 1, I got to work on this area, right? And then we're going to pick one area to actually focus in on, all right? So I'm going to take some notes because I'm going to be curious as to where you go. So when you think about your physical health on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Probably a 6.5.
6.5. All right. Personal life, what score?
Ooh, that one's probably 4. We'll go over 4.
Okay. No judgment, by the way, right? Key relationships. So key relationships are like the important ones in your life, right? Maybe your relationship with your wife, with your parents, but how would you rate your key relationships?
I think that kind of varies time to time. I'd say currently probably closer to a 6.
Okay. Now, how about your job? And your job is different than your business. Your job is the actual role that you play in the business that you are in. Where would you scale yourself?
We go with a vanilla answer, but maybe we'll go with a 5 on that one.
No judgment, vanilla or chocolate. There's no judgment on this, right? How about then in the business? So now this is overall, not just the role that you are in, but the business that you are in. How would you scale it?
Yeah, I'll give that one a 7.
Okay. And then finances.
It's probably lower than last year, so we'll go with a 5.5.
Okay. And then your spiritual life being whatever your belief system is, where would you rate it?
I mean,
you can believe in Santa Claus. It's okay.
We'll say that we're a 7. We'll be happy with that. We'll be a 7.
All right. All right. So you gave your physical health a 6.5, your personal life a 4, key relationships were a 6, your job was a 5, business was 7, finances 5.5, and your belief system 7. Okay. So out of those areas of your life, which one do you want to focus in on?
If we're talking about counterbalance stuff, we can go with the personal life one. Let's do that.
Okay. So you gave your personal life a 4. What would you want it to be?
I think it's always good if you're in, I don't think you're ever going to be at a 10, but I think if you can be in that kind of 7, 8, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm with you. 10 is overrated and perfectionism is overrated, right? All right. So what would have to happen in your world in order to get it to that 7 or 8?
Probably we're just at that bit. I think part of it is the time of the year. We're in that busy time. I mean, wife's out of town doing some stuff here and there. I'm sometimes out of town. We got Christmas, Thanksgiving. I mean, it feels I have family in town. So it feels like sometimes you'll get a weekend free where you want to do stuff, but then you're exhausted. So you don't really do much. And then you feel like you wasted your week. So I think being a bit more purposeful with time sometimes, whether it's wife, family, friends, whatever.
Yeah. So where do you start?
I think probably looking more ahead of time and probably booking things out more ahead of time, rather than just it comes to Thursday, Friday. It's like, oh, we are free this weekend. What do you want to do?
So a little planning ahead, a little being purposeful is what I'm hearing, right? What do you think gets away from you just in the day-to-day that doesn't allow that area of your life to be at that 7 or 8?
I think it's because I think in our industry, sometimes you never switch off really. So it's always you're on. So last night you film a call at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then an email comes through, you answer that. So kind of figuring out time to just shut off, because I think that also leads to the not burnout, but the mind of like, oh, I'm so tired. When physically you're not, it's just mentally you are, and you just want to sit there and watch a show.
Yeah.
So I think figuring that part out, shutting off at the right time, and just being okay with it'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah. Have you ever looked at your life in circles like this? And I say circles because they're really just like departments and areas. Have you ever looked at your life like this?
Not really, no.
Yeah, most people don't, right? I mean, let's be real. I mean, I never had a chart growing up going, hey, make sure you're paying attention to all these different areas of your life, right? I also think that it gives us an opportunity to have a system to reconcile with ourselves, right? So the system that I've walked you through, like I said earlier, it could be referred to as the circle of life. I've seen it referred to as the top priorities of your lifestyle, and really focusing in on them. And I'm just going to become unpopular for a second. I think this is too hard to do every week,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that if imagine if Sunday and I said, all right, Josh, let's look at the areas of your life, right? It's hard to live intentional in that counterbalanced life. But I definitely would say looking at these circles once a month, at the very least once a quarter. I do these once a quarter because I go back to there's too many things happening to be able to focus in on it. And I also feel that any one thing in life can occupy your space for like 3 months at a time, right? I was chatting with one of our teammates that just had a litter of puppies, and she was like, I'm so glad that these puppies are done with the stage, right? And it's a cycle. So when you think about those cycles of life, it allows you to go, okay, now I can go over here and focus over here. Because some of the best mentors I've ever worked with said, you're never going to get all of the areas of your life fueling at the same exact time. Like you're not going to have your finances in order, your personal life in order, your health in order. It's almost like I feel like it's a spinning plate conversation. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to spin this plate, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to spin this plate, right?
Yep.
What's your take on just the consistency, being able to look at it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's key. I think also, like you said at the end there, you're never going to have that balance. It's not like you're always going to be at sevens or eights on all of them. Because if you are focusing on, let's say, family, friends more, well, maybe the finances will drop because maybe you're doing more vacations, doing more activities, things like that. But then when you focus on the finances, maybe you're not going out as much and you're having to do more things at home, and you're not, or you're working more than you are at home. I think it is just, like I said, it is that balance, which I don't think you ever get that perfect balance.
Yeah, that's why it's a counterbalance, right? Like the surfers, right? It's a counterbalance because balance, I think it's a myth, right? I don't know about you, Josh, but I searched for it for a very long time. I was like, if I work in these hours and if I get my task done at this time, and then if I can do it, and it was like I felt like I was back in school with a bell schedule.
Yeah.
The bell would ring. All right, time to switch gears, and it's a myth because we cannot achieve it. Life just is not even kilter. It's not balanced by any means, right? Yeah. So I would say for myself, the area that I'm struggling in the most right now, I'm going to go because last time we talked about physical health just enough, but I'm going to go with key relationships
Mm-hmm.
because for me, that's probably, boy, you gave yourself a 6. I'm probably going to give myself a 4 in
Yeah.
key relationships. Right. And if I were to look at the rest of these circles, the reason that's a 4 is because the business is that's probably a 7 or an 8. The job is at a 7 or an 8. And I always find that when you have that focus on those areas, I can't do the other stuff too.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of girlfriends that are like, are we having dinner? Are we having breakfast? Are we having coffee? And I'm like, how does December 17th look for you? And I'm way out there and it's only November 10th.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing because I feel like their lives and their schedules are different than mine. And so they have an ability to say, where are you? Which I appreciate, right? Because they anchor. They're
Yeah.
like, we haven't sat down. We haven't done the girl talk stuff. That when I look at my list of priorities, I'm like, it's sad because it fills me up. I love doing it. I love seeing them, but I can't pay attention to all the circles at the same time.
Yeah, I've got a good friend. He's really good at this, I would say. I mean, he's busy, he owns some businesses, he got investment properties and stuff. But he is very good that he doesn't have a schedule, but I know, like, if I haven't spoken to him in a while, I'll get a phone call from him out of the blue, middle of the day, just check, hey, what's going on? You want to go get lunch next week? He's very good at doing that. And like, we're all in group text with our other friends and stuff. So there's a lot of communication in there. So even if it's not meeting in person, chatting and stuff all the time, there's always some kind of conversation going. He's always meeting someone else for lunch or doing something here and there. He's just very intentional with that and very good at that. So it doesn't always have to be because he knows with kids, wife, things like that, his life is a little bit different because he doesn't have the kids and stuff right now. So his is he knows I'll do it during the day, and on weekends, sometimes he'll be doing certain things and I can come and do these, but then I've got to get home because I got gymnastics with the little one or something. So yeah, he's good at that. I think we just got to be a bit more ourselves, like reaching out more first as opposed to waiting on the other people sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so we'll put, I don't want to say New Year's resolution because then we just put our friends on hold again for another 2 months. But maybe we can set that like a quarter goal, right? Like, hey, did you check in with your friends as opposed to them with you? And Josh, I don't know if you've heard it, but 3 times you've said the word purposeful or intentional, right? And I think that that's a real theme for people because otherwise you're just living life as it comes along. Yeah. Right. They're with no intention, with no purpose. There's just, all right, this is just what's going to happen today. And I was thinking about something the other day that, like, I don't want to get morbid, but if you knew your time, right? Like if you had an expiration date on the bottom of your foot, right? Like, hey, you expire on this date and time. What would the choices that you would make be? Yeah, right. Yeah. And then I think that's where that purpose comes in.
Yeah, and I saw some video the other day. It was talking about your parents and stuff, and I mean, it resonated with me because obviously mine are in another country. But it was talking about if your parents live, I can't remember, X amount of hours away, because obviously the US being so big, and you only see them X amount of times a year, and then it started saying, well, if their age is this, average lifespan or expectancy of someone in the US is this, how many years is that? Well, then work out, well, how many times are you actually seeing them, and like how many? And then it even broke it down to, okay, if you're seeing them for a week a year, well, how many hours is that? Times that by how long? That's how many hours you've got left with your parents. And it was like, oh, yeah. It was pretty intense.
Yeah. Did it make you question the time that you spend with them?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we do pretty good because of the distance stuff. I mean, we talk every single weekend on Skype. We always talk. Little one talks to them and stuff. So we are talking every week. We're on WhatsApp. We text during the week and stuff. But when they're here, I mean, like, I normally go in the office for the morning, then in the afternoon I'm with them, and we always try and do things. They're always like, we can just sit and relax. We don't have to do anything, but I'm always trying to do stuff. So I think it is, I mean, and we've even had conversations sometimes, like my sister lives real close to them and they still see them and my nephews and stuff. But I think we've even said sometimes, like, I've seen them more in a certain period of time than my sister has, because when they're here, I'm spending all the time with them. Where my sister, I think you just take it for granted. I mean, when I was back home, I'd be out with my friends all the time. You do take it for granted because you're there. So I think it is different, I think.
Yeah. All you had to say was you had to be purposeful. Say it. It's okay to say it one more time, right? Because that's exactly what you're talking about, is that you're being, first of all, you're being present, right? You're being where your feet are at when you're with them. And you recognize that in this scenario, they're going to get on a plane and they're going to go. So you make the most of it. But it's having that awareness piece of it. The other one that gets me is, how old is Eloise now?
Just turned 5.
Just turned 5. And so technically speaking, by 18, we're kind of working our way out the door, right? As most customs dictate. So that tells you that you've got 13 summers left.
Yeah.
And probably, if we're really being realistic, it's probably closer to like 8. Because right at the age of 15 or so, it's gonna be like, Dad,
don't hang out. Yeah,
I'm going to the Hamptons with my friends, right? Like, that little beach bunny of hers. So when you think about it, like in summers, like that really puts it in perspective too, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Especially now, I mean, at 5, obviously the whole Christmas thing and doing all that stuff. It's like, oh, how many more years you got of that? And that's because, once they get to a certain age, it's different, So.
Oh yeah. Mine's going to be 20 in December. And I still look for the moments and the glimpses where, like, yesterday she was like, hey, can I come and watch TV with you? And I was like, yeah, yes, come watch TV, right? Because now it's different. And it's so funny, Josh, because I never squandered it. Like, I was not that parent that was like, oh, my kid is bugging me. Yeah. But I also realized that I was like, there's going to come a day where even that's going to go away.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm ready for that. Like,
that's it.
Right? So I want to give the listeners some practical things that they can do, right? So I think the exercise that you and I have done today is looking at the 7 areas of your life, call them 7 levels, 7 circles, life's wheel, whatever you want to name it. You can find this exercise online. Places like The One Thing has something similar to this. You can actually just Google the area circles of life and you'll find this area. I think it's important. I'd like to recommend that everybody at least look at it quarterly. And if monthly is too much for you, and I get it because I'm not a monthly subscriber, but I will do this every quarter to check myself to kind of make sure that everything is counterbalanced.
We'd like to take this moment to thank one of our partners, Integrity First Mortgages. If you have any mortgage needs, you're looking to buy, potentially refinance, please reach out to us. We would love to have a conversation with you and see how we can help you with your needs. Now let's get back to the episode.
In addition to that, Josh, I'd like to give them the what's what. So are you reading anything interesting, listening to any good other podcasts? What are you filling your brain with up this week?
Yeah, I've only just started doing it, but it's the one that you've been having a go at me about reading for a while now, is that Business of Belonging. So that's been good. So I just started that, a couple of chapters into that one. And I like that. I mean, it's all around community and kind of like we're talking your network and things like that. I like that one. That one's been good so far.
Yeah, that Business of Community is a great book. It's so fun because, first of all, I love the fact that it was written this year. I don't know about you, but I tend to read books that were written a couple of years ago, a decade ago, not realizing it, right? Just going, oh, I'm going to go read that. So it's really refreshing because it's actually talking to us in modern day time. And then anything that you're listening to, any other good podcasts?
No, I mean, I've still been the typical ones so far. I mean, I like to hear from people as opposed to theories sometimes, and just hearing like the real life stories. So I'm always looking at things like Diary of a CEO and other podcasts like that. There's even some like Guys in England, which is, it's not necessarily always business, but it's just people's like experiences and upbringing, whether it was they are business people or even if they've like, not in a good way, but they've been like crime bosses and something. It's like, how is their life so different? You got the people that were the straight and narrow and done it this way, these people that want it that way. It's just interesting to hear different perspectives and how they are. But a lot of them have a lot of similar traits.
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff, right? We can get into that and go there for days and days, right? Are you watching anything good? Any new series, anything out there worth picking up?
Just been watching, what is that scary one? I've been watching that one recently. That one just, I can't remember, but nothing business-wise. It's been, when I've been watching TV recently, it's been a Halloween theme. So it's been more the scary stuff.
I hear that. Okay, so then I'm going to give you one. I started reading Lessons in Chemistry. And I got about 3/4 of the way of the book, and then life got in the way. And Apple has just taken out the Lessons in Chemistry as a series, which I love series because I don't know about you, I very rarely have a 2 to 3 hour chunk of time to watch TV or anything. But I enjoy bringing my brain down, right? Because you and I have very high impact jobs. We spend our brain constantly doing things. So my bring down in the evening, and is always something entertaining. I don't do business stuff after dinner. As a matter of fact, I have working really, really hard. And I say that because I want to encourage people that are on a journey. Last night, I thought to myself, the day that I don't have to get back on the laptop after dinner, right? That day, whatever that day is, whenever that day comes around, that's going to be a great day. And yet I also recognize that I may not ever get that day and it may not always be there, but I've got to make the conscious decision to just be like, okay, it's time to shut it off, right? So I am working on creating a new habit around after dinner time, not getting back into emails and doing things, working on that habit. It's a journey, not a destination. And so when I go to unplug, I really want to bring my brain down, right? Because I've done the thing that they tell you not to do, and is keep your brain active into those hours, because then you don't sleep well and so on, right? So I find I like crime mysteries. So I'll watch anything from Agatha Christie. Like, give me a good detective story, right? Like, give me something great that I can sit there and kind of figure out who did it, right? And Lessons in Chemistry has just been a refreshing take on, I'm not going to get on the soapbox with you, but it really comes from the reasons why women have always struggled to have a work-life balance. On just this week's episode alone, a lady was in an audience talk show, and the host said, so what do you want to do with this? And the host says, I think you should be a doctor. And the woman said, I can't be a doctor. I have husband and kids. That's my job. Yeah. And it's like, there's a little part of you that like sinks and you're so sad for her. You want her to go be a doctor. But it starts out in the 60s where we were at a time of war where women did have to stay behind. So it was just this dynamic that it is so well written, and the cast is just lovely. So that's Lessons in Chemistry on Apple. I am reading, what am I reading now, Josh? Oh, you know what I picked up? There again, going back to the old books, the Nordstrom's Customer Service.
Oh, but that's good.
I years ago, I picked this up and I thought to myself, now is the time for us to be able to really show our value, to help people understand why they want to work with people in our profession, right, our industry. And I love that book because one of the best stories, and then I'm going to give you the floor after this. So one of the best stories I like out of that book is that Nordstrom actually empowered everyone from the doorman all the way up to the penthouse with the ability to serve the consumer. So the theory at Nordstrom is if you're the doorman and you make a decision that is going to impact the customer service part of it, you have total permission to do it. Leadership, management, ownership, they don't care as long as the customer is being served, and they give everybody in their organization the power to show that service. So for example, Nordstrom is one of the few places where you can actually buy a pair of shoes, wear the pair of shoes, and still return them if you're not happy with them.
I like that. And I know I haven't read it, but I heard the book, the Disney done one similar, didn't they? That Be Our Guest. I heard that's a really good one. I haven't got to that one yet.
Yeah, that might be the next one that we look at, right? Because I think it's so important that we help people understand that in the services that we provide, it's not just transactional, right? It's not just paper shuffling. It's not just get this, do that. There's people should be treated a certain way. And I think that when you have an elevated service, people will want to work with you.
For sure. I like that.
All right. So did you learn anything new this week?
Yeah, so bit of a plug on Grid that we're a part of. Listening to, well, actually one of his podcasts, listening to that, learned some different things there about, I mean, already had an idea about it, but lease options and stuff, but learning more about subject to financing, all that sort of stuff. So more and more into it. I'm very scratching the surface about it right now, but yeah, it's been really good to hear those.
Yeah, let me see. Did I learn anything new this week? Actually, I did. So we've got a media agency in our world. And I'm always, I'm not going to get anywhere near language, acronyms, technology. I'm just not going to do it. But I was fascinated to learn that when people are actually searching and you're on Instagram, your searching on Instagram is actually feeding Google SEO, which I never connected the two.
Makes sense, I guess.
And so, yeah, I'm glad it makes sense to you. I was like, no way. I did not know that, right? So I think it's pretty cool what you're seeing come out through the abilities to be able to search things, because I was a child that grew up with a physical encyclopedia. There was not a Google machine, let alone the internet. So to think about how these things are searchable, it's a very cool algorithm to think about.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
All right, Josh, let's leave our readers with something good. On a scale of 1 to 10, how accomplished do you feel this week?
Oh, that's a good one. I'd say pretty good. I would say I'm at a 6.75.
That sounds like a great interest rate.
yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Right. I think I'm going to be up there with you. I was thinking 7. On a scale of 1 to 10, I was feeling about a 7. Right. It's been a good week. It's been a good progress week. And we'll just take that.
Yep, we do it.
All right. Well, listen to everyone again. Thank you for listening.
See you guys.